When I first started setting up my smart home, finding a budget-friendly TV that didn't feel like a compromise was a bit of a challenge. We looked everywhere, starting from popular TV reviews on YouTube to Reddit forums, and finally found out about the DU7700. It's a 43-inch 4K smart TV priced between $500 to $600, depending on where you buy it. After living with it for a few weeks, watching movies, gaming, and using it for smart home control, I've got a lot to share. So, unboxing this smart TV was refreshingly simple. Inside, you get the TV itself, the Solar Cell 1 remote, a power cable, and a quick setup guide. The remote's actually a nice touch. It charges using sunlight or even indoor lighting, so no more swapping out batteries. For mounting, we've got a few options. I tried it both ways. First using the included flat feet, then later mounting it with a slim wall mount. Setting up the feet took about 5 minutes maybe, and honestly, they feel pretty sturdy on a console table. If you're thinking about wall mounting, it supports the 200 by 200 VESA standard, and the TV's lightweight design makes it really easy to lift and secure with just 2 people. I actually preferred it wall-mounted. The minimal bezels and slim profile look a lot cleaner that way, especially in a smaller room. Design-wise, there is nothing too fancy about the TV, but at this price range, it does okay to fit most smart home aesthetics. It has a slim look with 3 sides bezel-less, giving it a more modern vibe than a lot of budget TVs I've tried. The finish is a simple matte black, which helps it blend into pretty much any setup. When I first got it into my living room, I really liked that it didn't take up much space. It's nice and simple and it feels well made. I also noticed the back panel is neatly laid out, with most ports easily accessible from the side. Great if you plan to swap HDMI devices often. Build quality isn't on par with Samsung's flagship models like the Class Neo QN90F, but nothing about it feels flimsy either. The plastic materials feel durable, and after a few weeks of adjusting it, plugging in devices, and moving it around, I didn't notice any flex or creaks. Okay, let's turn it on. So, the colors look vibrant and impressive, honestly. Samsung's using their per-color technology right inside, and as you can tell, reds, blues, greens, they're all super vibrant without looking fake or cartoonish. Let's try some 4K YouTube videos. You know, the usual travel stuff with tropical beaches and city skylines, and it looks decent. The 4K processor inside really does its job. Even stuff that's not true, 4K gets upscaled cleanly. I can assure you of this because I actually tested some 720p old sitcoms and 1080p movies, and the upscaling makes a big difference. It doesn't look as soft or blurry as you might expect on a 43-inch 4K screen. Also, shout out to the contrast enhancer feature. It dynamically boosts the depth and colors a little more, which especially helps in scenes with a lot of shadows or highlights. HDR performance is pretty good too. It supports HDR10+ and regular HDR, and while it's not going to blow your mind like a $2,000 OLED, but for this price, the contrast between dark blacks and bright highlights is genuinely impressive. You get real depth in scenes without losing detail, which isn't always a given at this price point. So I played around with the settings quite a bit. The standard mode honestly looks fine for most things, but if you want to get the best out of this smart TV, tweaking is worth it. I turned off some of the motion smoothing for movies, bumped up the backlight for daytime viewing, and kept contrast enhancer on for a little extra pop in darker scenes. Switching to filmmaker mode for movies and game mode for PS5 gaming made a noticeable improvement in both cases. So movie night was the real test for me. I fired up Dune in 4K HDR on HBO Max, dimmed the lights, and man, for a $500 something TV it delivers. Filmmaker mode makes a real difference too. Once I switched that on, it disabled a lot of the motion smoothing and sharpening that can make movies look weirdly artificial. The sandstorm scenes, the deep shadows, the blue of the eyes. It all came through super clearly. No major color banding or weird artifacts. The TV definitely gets bright enough for most normal living rooms. It's not hyper bright like a QLED, but in a dark room or even moderately lit space, it's totally cinematic. Then I plugged my PS5 in to see how it handles games. And honestly, better than expected. The DU7700 runs at 50 Hz. So hardcore competitive gamers might notice that it's not as silky as a 120 Hz panel. But Samsung adds their motion accelerator tech, which smooths out motion and predicts frame transitions nicely. Playing Spider-Man Miles Morales was super enjoyable. Motion felt clean, colors were vivid, and no weird ghosting or heavy blur, even during fast web-slinging sequences. Auto low latency mode kicks in automatically once the console detects, which is awesome. No need to dig into menus. It drops the input lag noticeably, so reactions feel quick and tight. If you're someone who plays mostly single-player games or more casual titles, it's gonna feel fantastic. For the price, it gets the job done. Built-in TV sound is usually just okay, but the DU7700 holds up better than I expected. The 20-watt speakers are clear and get reasonably loud for a mid-sized room. Watching Top Gun: Maverick, the sound of jets flying across the screen actually felt like it moved a little from side to side, thanks to Samsung's OTS Lite Virtual Surround. It's not full home theater quality, but for everyday viewing, it definitely gets the job done. Here, listen for yourself. One thing I really appreciated was adaptive sound. It automatically adjusted the audio depending on what I was watching. Dialogue sounded sharper in dramas, and action scenes had a bit more punch without me constantly reaching for the remote. Now, the DU7700 also supports Q Symphony, which means if you add a compatible Samsung soundbar later, the TV speakers and soundbar can work together for a fuller, more immersive sound. I didn't have a Samsung soundbar on hand to test that myself, but it's a cool feature to have if you're planning to upgrade your setup down the line. The Tizen OS experience on this TV? Honestly, one of the better smart platforms right now. It's fast, apps load quickly, and you get pretty much everything you'd want: Netflix, Disney+, Prime Video, YouTube, and more. I also love Samsung TV Plus, free live channels that actually stream pretty well. Setting up SmartThings integration was easy too. In a few minutes, I had my lights, thermostat, and even my smart plug connected. The 3D map view is really cool. It shows a visual map of your house and devices, and you can control everything from your TV. Plus, Daily Plus keeps track of little things like weather and reminders, making the TV actually feel like a smart home hub, not just a screen. So after weeks of testing, is the Samsung DU7700 still worth it in 2025? Honestly, yes, but with a few caveats. If you're looking for a 43-inch TV that's affordable, good for movies, casual gaming, and loaded with smart features, the DU7700 is a great pick. You get vivid colors, reliable upscaling, a clean design, and surprisingly good sound, especially with a soundbar. It's not for people who want the deepest blacks, fastest refresh rates, or ultimate color accuracy, but for the price, it delivers way more than I expected. It fits perfectly into a smart home setup, and it's a genuinely easy TV to live with day to day.